Hi, welcome to Driving TV, and I hope you are well. In this video, I'd like to share with you answers of some of your test questions. Many learners, they have many questions about the driving test. So in this video, I'm going to share with you around 10 to 12 answers of questions you have about the driving test. Let's start the lesson. So number one of the most common questions of learner is, how do I know when I'm ready for my driving test? I am thinking of taking driving lessons, or I am taking the driving lessons, but how do I know when will I be ready for my test? How do I know that? Many learners, they do have that question in their mind. First of all, according to DVSA, a learner needs around 45 hours training with a driving instructor, also around 20 hours of lessons with friends and family. This is average a learner needs. So 45 hours of driving lessons with a driving instructor and around 20 lessons or 20 hours of training with family members and friends. This is average. Some will need more, some will need less. That will depend on how quickly you learn, how slow you learn. It will depend on you, the kind of person you are. But the best way you will know is if you ask your driving instructor, they will tell you whether you're ready or not. And number two, you are the best person to know when you are ready. So when you're taking your driving lessons and when you know that you could drive the car by yourself without any help, that's when you know you are ready for your driving test. So in the beginning, you are learning and you are doing things by help of your driving instructor or friends and family. Eventually, you will know that you could drive the car by yourself without any help. That's when you know that you are ready for your driving test. So, number one, ask your driving instructor. They will know better whether you are ready or not. And number two, you are the best person to judge. You are the best person to know whether you are ready or not. When you know you could drive the car by yourself independently without any help, that's when you know you are ready to go to your driving test. How long is the driving test? In the UK, the driving test will last around 40 minutes. So from start to finish, it will last around 38 to 40 minutes. What's the best way for me to prepare for my driving test? Like I said in the beginning, take driving lessons with driving instructors, take extra lessons with friends and family, and also take mock tests, at least one, if not few. So with the driving instructor, before your test, take few mock tests, at least one, if not more. That way, you will know whether you are ready or not. Mock test will help you to understand what the test is like, how you are driving, what the problems are coming from, what kind of things you are doing in the test. It will give you an idea where you should work on more. So practice driving independently with your family members and friends, also with the driving instructor, and take mock test. That way you will know you are ready or not for your driving test. What will I be asked to do during my driving test? Number one, you will be asked to read a number plate from certain distance just to check if your eyesights are okay. If you can't, you won't be able to do the test. So first thing you will be asked to do is to read a number plate from a distance. If you can't read, then you will be able to take the driving test. If you can't, that means you don't have a good eyesight. You won't be able to take the driving test. So number one is your eyesight test. Number two, you will be asked show me, tell me questions. One of the questions you will be asked to show, and one is to tell, meaning one, show me where things are, another one is tell me how to do that. So one, show me, one, tell me. And then generally you will be driving in general drive. In that drive, you will be driving independently for 20 minutes. Also, a parking out of four. There are four parkings you need to learn. In the test, you'll have to do one parking, and you might do an emergency stop. You might not. It will depend on 1 in 3 in the UK gets to do the emergency stop. So you might get it, you might not. What are the reversing exercise I will need to learn and get in the driving test? There are four maneuvers or four parkings you need to learn for the driving test. Number one is the parallel parking. Number two is the bay parking. There are two bay parkings actually. One is to go forward in and then reverse out, and the other one is to reverse into a bay and then fold out. These are the two for bays, and also stop on the right, reverse and move off. So these are the four, and out of the four you get to do one in the test. So you need to learn four for your driving test, and out of the four you'll get to do one for your test. It will be randomly the examiner will ask you to do, and it could be one from the four I just said. What kind of questions the examiner will ask regards to safety and maintenance? He or she might ask you to open the bonnet, check the oil level, check the brakes. Like I said earlier, the examiner will ask you to show and to tell. So one question about, so he or she might ask you about one question to show and one question to tell. So maybe he or she might ask you, tell me how you would check if your indicator lights are working, and maybe show me how you would check your brake before you set off. So how you would check if your brakes are working before you drive off. So you as a learner, it is important you go through the questions and you learn the answers of those questions. The car that you are driving or you are taking the lesson on, make sure you get to know the car, make sure you know how to open the bonnet, how to check the brake, how to put the indicator. Obviously, you will know how to put the indicator on. Make sure you know how to explain, how to check if they're working or not. How do you put the wiper on? How do you clean the windscreen? How do you open your window, their window? So make sure you know the show me, tell me questions and get to know the answers of those questions. Okay? So read about them and learn about them so you know exactly. What happens if I make a mistake in the driving test? Now remember, you as a learner, you are allowed 15 driver faults or minor faults, which means you could get 15 driving faults or minor faults and you will still pass your driving test. So if you make a mistake, don't think you failed. Don't assume you failed. That's not your job. I have said this before on other videos and I'll tell you again, is that whatever happens, if you make a mistake, don't become the judge. You're the learner doing the driving. That is your job. You make a mistake, no problem. For example, if you ask me now, what will happen if I touch the pavement when I stop the car or when I pull up on the left? Firstly, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't hit the pavement when you are pulling up on the left. But if you did in the test, it doesn't mean you should assume that you failed, because many do touch the pavement and pass the test. It depends on how hard you hit. So you don't know whether that's a pass or fail. If it happens, it happens. You just carry on and drive as normal, because at the end, you will see maybe you didn't fail for that. And if you gave up and then you did something silly after that because you gave up, then you'll see, then you just failed because you gave up. So if you make a mistake, you leave it behind, don't think about that. You just carry on driving and drive as normal. And at the end, we'll see what happens. Okay? So just because you made a mistake, it doesn't mean you should assume you failed. It doesn't mean you failed. Carry on, drive as normal, give your 100%, and at the end, you will see what happens. And that leads to the next question is, how many serious fault am I allowed and how many minors am I allowed? Like I said earlier, you are allowed 15 driving faults. 16 you will fail, 15 you will still pass the driving test. But it doesn't mean you could have all 15 in one box, meaning if you keep repeating the same mistake, that means that's not a mistake, it's a problem. Randomly, so you didn't look at the mirror once or twice, maybe you put the clutch down too early if you're taking in a manual car. So randomly you're allowed to get 15 driver faults or minor faults. But if you keep repeating the same problem, for example, you don't look at the mirror, you keep repeating not looking at the mirror, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the same box, you will fail because you're repeating, meaning that's not a mistake anymore, it's a problem. You need to improve that, you need to learn that more, and that's why you will fail. So randomly you're allowed 15. Now serious or danger, if you get 1, it doesn't matter how many minor you get, you will fail. So you're not allowed a serious or a danger, none, but you're allowed 15 driver faults or minor faults. If you get 1 serious or danger, you will fail, or if you get 16 minor, you will fail. What happens if I pass my driving test? If you pass your driving test, the examiner will ask you at the end, you passed, and give you a certificate that you passed, and also will ask you whether they should take your license and you will get your full license come to your door within 3 to 4 weeks. Or you could just take the license and you apply by yourself to get your full driving license. Okay? What happens if I fail my driving test? If you fail, the examiner will tell you you failed and will go through why you failed, how many serious you had, how many minors you had, and they will explain to you why you failed. You'll have to go and book another test and come back and do the test again. And last, just an advice, make sure you learn to control your nerve. Very important for you to control your nerve and be confident on the day. Doesn't matter how much you know about driving, how ready you are on the day, if you can control your nerve, it will be difficult for you to pass because your mind is going to just go blank. You're going to start shaking, you're going to be sweaty, you're not going to think straight. So try to control your nerve as much as you can. Little nervous is okay, it will make you think better, but it doesn't mean you should be overdoing it. Don't overthink. Go and do what you know, and you know how to drive the car. The reason you are going to the test is because you know how to drive the car. So when you go to the test, control your nerve as much as you can and do your best. And hopefully, in the end, you will pass your test. If you need extra help on learning to drive and to pass the driving test, don't forget to take the advantage of our online course, which gives everything a learner needs. The course will give you everything a learner needs to learn to drive and to pass the driving test. It has more than 30 videos on the course to help you to learn and to pass. I will leave a link on the description for you to have a look. Have a look and see and read. If you like it, you could always join the course. I hope this video helps. If it does, please do give a thumbs up and please do make a comment what you think of the video. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos, and hope to see you again on the next video. Bye for now.